I've heard that Afriforum and Solidarity have met representatives in the US government, and they're doing precisely what we said we as South Africans should not do. We should stop running to other countries. We should discuss our own problems here.
President Cyril Ramaphosa has expressed a strong desire to reach a new agreement with the United States on trade, diplomacy, and other key issues following recent tensions with the U.S. President Donald Trump. Speaking at Goldman Sachs' event on the sidelines of the G20 meetings in South Africa, Ramaphosa emphasized the importance of the constructive engagement with Washington and said we would like to go to the United States to do a deal. He said in a discussion with Goldman Vice Chairman and Richard Nord, and further said we don't want to go and explain ourselves. We want to do a meaningful deal with the United States on a whole range of issues. Ramaphosa's remarks comes after Trump accused South Africa of confiscating land from white farmers, citing a controversial new law that allows the government, under specific conditions, to offer nil compensation for expropriated land deemed necessary for public interest. The law aims to address long-standing land ownership disparities, with much of South Africa's farmland still concentrated in the hands of the white minority 3 decades after the fall of apartheid. Despite initially enjoying what he described as a wonderful conversation with Trump after the latter took office in 2017, Ramaphosa acknowledged that bilateral relations later deteriorated. Trump's comments about land reform and threats to cut U.S. funding further strained ties between the two nations. The tension was underscored by the absence of top U.S. officials at this month's G20 ministerial meetings in South Africa. In South Africa, as both the U.S. Secretaries of State and Finance opted not to attend, with the United States serving as South Africa's second largest trading partner and set to assume the G20 presidency next year, Ramaphosa stressed the necessity of a renewed partnership and said, "We have to go to make a deal of one sort or another on trade issues, on diplomatic issues, on political issues, across a whole span of issues. It's inevitable that we will get together and do a deal." The South African government is preparing to send a delegation to Washington to address these concerns and rebuild relations with the new U.S. administration. Whether a fresh agreement can be reached remains to be seen. Pretoria appears determined to restore stability in its ties with Washington. President Cyril Ramaphosa has also criticized Afriforum for seeking intervention from the United States government regarding South African policies, warning that such actions create divisions within the country. Speaking on the matter, Ramaphosa emphasized the importance of resolving domestic issues internally rather than involving foreign governments, and said we need to be sending a clear message that as proud South Africans, we should stay here and solve our problems. What they are doing has already caused divisions in our nation. That is not a nation-building process, running around the world trying to have your problems solved. The president also warned that such moves could fuel distrust among citizens and said you are just sowing divisions because some South Africans will start looking at others negatively. I don't think that is the right way to handle our problems. Afriforum, along with Solidarity and Solidarity Movement, recently held discussions with the officials of the Trump administration in Washington. The groups raised concerns about the ANC government's policies, including the Expropriation Act, the Bella Act, and attacks on white farmers. Afriforum CEO Khalil Krill defended the visit, stating that U.S. officials were already closely monitoring South Africa's political landscape and said, "We had a constructive discussion and it was taken seriously, not just because of what we told them, but also because they have been following the ANC government's actions through their embassy and State Department." He added that concerns were raised about South Africa's foreign policy decisions, including its ties with Hamas and Iran, as well as worries about property rights and expropriation policies. The discussion have sparked debate, with critics arguing that involving foreign governments undermines South Africa's sovereignty, while Afriforum maintains that international attention is necessary to hold African National Congress accountable.
I do believe, I've heard that Afriforum and Solidarity have met representatives in the US government, and they're doing precisely what we said we as South Africans should not do. We should stop running to other countries. We should discuss our own problems here and find solutions. And that in many ways confirms our own sovereignty. It confirms our standing as a free and independent nation. A nation that can stand proud amongst many other nations and being able to say, we can solve our own problems. We may differ here, but we will find solutions to whatever problems we have. And we have the wherewithal to be able to do that. So I would say we stay here, we solve our problems here, and we embrace one another, and we build a nation. We will never be able to build a nation by just going to complain to other nations in the world. That's how we solve problems.
How do you respond to that?
Well, there are people who are saying that, something needs to be done to them and all that. And I would say that we need to be sending a clear message to them that as far as we are concerned, as proud South Africans, we prefer that we should all stay here and solve our problems. And already what they are doing has spawned divisions in our nation. And that is not a nation building process of running around the world to try and have your problems solved. You are just sowing divisions. Because now a number of South Africans then start looking at others negatively. And I don't think that is the right way to handle our problems.
What's your take on this one, people? Thanks for watching. Please subscribe for more news.